I'm constantly seeing the question at the moment, how to make profit early in Cities Skylines 2. And today I'll show you how to make over 10k profit hourly by level 3. But as you unlock services, this will eat into those margins and you'll have to build up your population in order to sustain that. So I'm going to start with a new city, and hopefully by the end of this, we'll go through all the opportunities for making a profitable city by level 5. So if you do find this video helpful, please do hit the thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. And if you do have any suggestions of your own, make sure to let us know in the comments below. So we're going to start off on, I believe this is the Tampere map. And the first thing that I'm going to do, I've already connected sewage and we have the water pump here. I'm really not that bothered about making it all clean and smart. We're not even going to work on any junctions. I'm just going to give you the kind of layout so that you can work from that. We're going to go with wind turbines for this because there's plenty of wind. And you may be wondering why we don't go with, if we go back to that menu, the small coal power plant and start selling the power back to the grid, essentially. And the reason for that, and we can't see it here, is that when you first start the game, you get a lot of government subsidies. And so when you start selling power back to the grid, those subsidies are reduced and it ends up being negligible, the amount of money that you gain. And that's really important because you don't want to be spending a lot on trying to run a power plant that's not actually giving you anything back. So what we're going to do is eventually look at investing in power, but at the moment we can stick with wind power. Obviously, if you can't use wind turbines, then your coal power plants are your best bet at this point. Next, I'm going to build a basic layout for my residential and commercial areas. I'm going to stick to a grid for this, although I don't tend to use it myself, and we'll talk about that once I've got that sorted. We'll be right back. And this will do for now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 boxes. You can do these as square grids if you want. The important thing is if we go to our zoning here, that if we zone down, we're going to have space to do a 3 grid and then bring it down to halfway. So this is a 3x6 grid, and you'll see we have the same here as well. And what we're going to do is run this all the way down. Really simple, really easy. To the bottom, we're going to leave a space of 3 and do the same. Leave a space of 3 and go back up. The reason for the little gap that we have here is that when we choose to, if we choose to upgrade later on, it's going to be super easy to just place that along here without damaging any of the buildings. But obviously you don't have to do this if you don't want to. The reason that we're doing a 3x6 grid is because larger properties get more tax income in this game. So you could do a 2x2 grid for each one of these and have multiple roads going down, but you're going to have less income from that. And if we're trying to maximize our income early on in the game, we're going to want to keep our community as satisfied as possible. So I'm going to skip ahead and zone the rest of this. The next thing that I'm going to do is also add some commercial zoning. I'm not too concerned about this. The majority of our money is going to come from our residential areas. So for the time being, we can just zone it how we want. I'll keep it like that. I do not want to do too much commercial or industrial zoning. Speaking of which, we'll do that over here out of the way. And the reason for that is we're going to try our best to control the workforce, because that's going to be really important later on. At this point, we can let this run at fast speed, and you'll notice at this point we should be about 600 deficit. There we go. So minus 630 credits per hour. That's how much we're spending on our services for the time being. As you can see, at this point we have expanded quite quickly, though we've only got 33 citizens currently in the city. They're all slowly moving in. I'm still expanding this out. We're going to fill these out very quickly. And hopefully by the time, there we go, I was about to say we'll reach our first level. So at this point, we've been given 600,000 towards our goals, as well as our first development point and 3 towers are expanding. So at this point, we are currently minus 317. We currently do not have any ambulances. We do not have any hearses showing up. So we can let this run for a little bit. And hopefully, before they flag up, we will be in the positives. So we're just going to let this run for a little bit. Before I forget, we do have access to the medium density buildings now. So we want to make sure that we're fulfilling the demand for the residential zoning and keeping an eye on jobs every now and then, just to make sure that we have enough jobs available to bring people into the city. How are we doing? We're at minus 50. So at level 1, it is possible to get into the positives, but because we are going to be investing heavily in services, you will find, here we have our first hearse just before we hit the green. There we go. We're in the green now. We do require some death care. When it comes to death care, we can go with the cemetery, or if we invest our first development point that we have available, we can go with the crematorium. Now, the crematorium works out to be 10,000 cheaper to run monthly, but I'm actually planning to push into geothermal power as soon as possible. So instead of going with the crematorium, we're going to go with the cemetery. I think this works out at about 1,000 per month. Yeah, there you go. And then we have our medical clinic, not infirmary, and also our... I wonder, does this get exported? Because if this gets exported, we don't need to worry about it. Oh well, we'll do it with this anyway. And we're now at level 2. Normally at this point we are about 2,000 in debt. So if you are, do not worry. There we go. We're at 2,400. We do have access to the medium density flats now. So we're going to be placing some of these. We're just focusing on growing our city at the moment. We're not worrying too much about that deficit. And I will also expand this. What we want to make sure at the moment is that we still have jobs available, so that people do want to move in. And we can check that by going to workplace availability. You can see we have 629 workplaces available, 613 employed. So we have a little bit of headroom for a few more. And we can encourage some more citizens to come here by changing taxation as well, which is now unlocked. You want to go into your residential, and for your educated people, actually, not you're educated, you're well educated. We're just going to reduce this to minus 10. We want as many well educated people coming to the city as possible, and it can be quite difficult to entice them. Now, with us being at level 3, we can unlock the geothermal power plant. We could go with the gas power plant, and if you go the crematorium route, you can go via the gas power plant at this level. Whereas we skipped the crematorium so that we could grab this early. And the reason we're going with this one is that it works out a little bit more efficient for us to go with the geothermal power plant. If you have a look, the upkeep is 300,000 per month, and we can get up to 150 megawatts. But we do need to make sure that it's placed on a groundwater deposit. It's certainly more expensive, and it's going to allow us to level up to level 3 very quickly, whereas the gas power, you'll notice, is 625,000 upkeep, so that's over double the geothermal power plant, and in return you end up getting 250 megawatts of power versus our 150. We can also upgrade the geothermal power plant, and doing so will make it more efficient than the gas power plant, which is again another reason for going down this route. However, if you are going down the gas power plant route, you can go to the coal power plant, and you'll find that's even more efficient. The only problem is it does require more well-educated people to do. And what we're going to be doing with this is selling the power back to the grid now, and we're going to take this down and across to our connection here. In a moment, we'll see that in action because this is going to jump to 100% efficiency, as you can see here, without any employees. So we're immediately going to see profits, and then it's going to drop because we won't have the employees there. We'll also see the subsidies change. So if we go to our taxes here, you can see we've got no service trade. This is where we'll be exporting the power. And you'll see the service upkeep here, which is why, if we check this, we're now at minus 8,494 credits. If we run this, it's going to jump up to the service trade, and we're going to be in a net positive, and then the subsidies are going to be, or the government subsidies are going to be brought down, I do believe. There we go. So we've now got 351,000. I don't believe this is running at full capacity yet, which has brought us down to minus 1,156. But unfortunately, this is going to be short-lived. If we click on here, you can see, oh, we're at, yeah, this is it. I think we're running at 100% efficiency. We're not, because we've still got employees coming in. Unfortunately, we're waiting on the 5 well-educated people. So the next thing that we need to do is find well-educated people. And this is where we have to go into each of these and find businesses which unfortunately are hiring well-educated people. And we're going to have to bulldoze them. This can take a little bit of time. Generally speaking, when it comes to commercial, you're okay with just getting rid of pharmaceuticals and electronics. Okay, for the time being, these seem to be okay. That's good, and we'll just check here. We're still lacking the well-educated. There's one of them. That's good. 2. And as we get more educated people here, you'll find that the efficiency goes up. The other thing that we need to consider is employee happiness at the next level. But at the moment, we're focusing on trying to fill out all of these spaces. In the larger industrial areas, you can quite often find, here we go, this will have some, yeah, well-educated people working at their premises. So unfortunately, it can be a bit cumbersome in the early game. I would love a way in which we could encourage people to work at the power plant by increasing money to the power plant. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, as I'll show you shortly. But this is why I tend to keep our commercial areas and our industrial areas quite small at first. Good. So with any luck, we will now have, we have a full power plant, which means that this is running at 102% efficiency. And though we're at 1,380 down currently, by increasing the happiness, this will increase the productivity, and we can also upgrade it with things like this binary cycle power plant, which increases the power by 50 megawatts, providing we fill all the job roles again. As you can see, we require one more educated person now, and we can upgrade it again to produce up to 200,000 more. So we're just going to let this run a little bit more. We're now at 103%, so this will hopefully, there we go, it's down to 650 in the deficit, and we're going to do the same again, unlocking milestone 3, and again we have a load more jobs available. We need 2 more well-educated people in order to get this up to efficiency. And the next thing at level 3 is go to services, and we can actually increase the budget to electricity should we wish in order to increase the efficiency. Unfortunately, increasing the budget by up to 50%, it only results in a 25% increase to the production of power. So it isn't actually beneficial to do this. We'll actually run this for a little bit at 150%, and you'll see the cost to us before bringing it back down. So if you look down here, you can see we're at minus 5,000. Obviously, that's more than what we were spending to run this when we got it down to about minus 1,000. But once the employees fill up, we should see a nice increase to our income when we readjust this, which you can actually see here. Fantastic. Also, with the services, we can now go through and have a look at our, for example, our healthcare. We're doing all right at the moment in terms of healthcare availability. So we can, though they will complain, we can decrease our services slightly in various areas. So we can reduce this, say, to 80%. We can reduce the water and sewage by, say, 30%. And we can also increase the service fee if we want, but that will result in unhappy customers, which will reduce the efficiency of our power plant over here. And at this point, we can start, oh, look at that, 11,000. Is this running at 40 out of 40? Fantastic. So at level 3, we are already 10,000 in the green. And obviously at this point, we can start placing our fire and rescue, our police, and if we want, also our education as well. And you can see after that, we're still in the green, but not by much. Almost hit the next level. I think one more round of experience and we'll be there, but you can see we've actually invested in a college. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think college is the one that gives well educated. I think the high school is educated. Maybe mistaken. So hopefully we're able to start producing our own well-educated people now, because the main concern is that maybe we'll lose 1 or 2 people, and that will affect the efficiency and thus the amount of money that we have coming in. That being said, once we do have a steady supply of well-educated people, there's no reason why we can't build another one of these. I think we've got several groundwater areas available. We could make an absolute fortune from geothermal power. But obviously that is for much later on in the game. We're only talking about the first 5 levels today. There we go. So now that we've hit milestone 5, we have the ability to, if we have a look it up, we have 810 credits per hour. We can create a district, and the districts do offer some very valuable services. So if we now click off that and go to Pelway, click this, we now have access to all of these. And the one that we want to really pay attention to at the moment is going to be energy consumption awareness, because this is going to reduce the consumption of electricity by 5%, which should mean that we will see an increase, not a decrease, in our earnings on here as well. It might take a little while to feed through. But also another thing that we can do is add the roadside parking fee if we want to make a little bit more money and we have lots of cars. With low density and large builds, they tend to park inside their garages, so that's not an issue. There we go, 1,150. It's a little bit better. And at 110% efficiency, I wonder if we can improve this now. If we increase our budget, how is that going to affect our profit margin? It will actually reduce it. Although if we reduce... Wait. If we reduce it, do we really get an increase of... Oh, wow. Well, that is rather fascinating. We can obviously increase the service fee, but I'm tempted to reduce the service fee to 0 in order to increase happiness citywide. Would you look at that? It's running at 28% efficiency and we're making almost 12,000 credits at level 5. Guys, I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please do hit the thumbs up and do remember to subscribe. As we're new to content creation on Cities Skylines 2, it's going to be very difficult for our videos to get out to you. So if you do enjoy our videos, if you find them helpful, make sure to subscribe. But we're going to leave it there. Special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Solo-Clips patrons, James Irwin, Firefless and Trebor, as well as our Lunas, the Calamity, Ben Star and That Dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Dr. Shotgun. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.